This is the Louie T Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Louie? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Saints, Falcons, NFC South family business. You know how the family do it. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And there's some good family business here. It's felt like playoff football. It seems like every Falcons game these days feels like playoff football. Last week versus the Vikings felt like playoff football. And for the Falcons, really, every single game down the stretch is going to feel that way because they're in must-win mode, essentially. They want to win the division. They got to win out. If they don't win the division, now you're leaving it to chance. You're going to need help from other teams. You're going to need Seattle or the Rams to not finish with a better mark than you this season. So all of a sudden, if you're the Falcons, your outcome of your season in your hands. You got to win. They found a way to get it done in this game. It was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of mistakes by both teams involved allowed the Falcons to come away with this victory. I saw a lot of things tonight that I've never seen on a football field before. You learn a lot just watching, and you learn something new every day. That's what a wise man once told me, and I learned something new about the game of football today. I don't know when they put that rule in, or if that's just a different interpretation or the first time I've ever seen it like that. But not to get points at the end of the half. Matt Ryan was horrible for most of this game. We'll talk about all of those things and more. The Saints were dropping like flies in this game, and they already had come into this game banged up. You lose Kamara on the opening possession of the game. That really hurt you. Wow. Saints lead the game at 9-4 with the loss. Falcons improved to 8-5, and so this thing's going to come down to the wire. Saints had a chance to separate themselves from everybody in the division with a win here. Instead, the pack gets a little tighter, and Carolina can now get a piece of first place with a win over Minnesota, which is a tough ask and a tough task. We'll see if they can do that on Sunday, but this was good football here. I enjoyed every second of it. Physical, good football. Deion Jones with two big plays at the end. A lot of people aren't going to talk about that Willie Snead play at the end before the interception. That's a hell of a play. I'm going to tell you, there's only a select few, a handful of linebackers in the league that would have, A, had the awareness to see what was going on, and B, be able to get out there before Willie Snead turned the corner. I would have loved to have seen them use a faster receiver like Lewis in that situation there. Snead, not the fleetest of foot, but nonetheless, for Deion Jones to get out there and make that play, that's just tremendous. And then the interception, that's why you draft a guy that high like the Falcons did in the second round with Deion Jones. The guy is a phenomenal athlete. And again, I told you, it's a new breed of NFL linebacker. And to me, Ryan Shazier, man, he continued to help, heal up. Deion Jones, Telvin Smith, those type of guys. That's the new breed of NFL linebacker. I think Jones is a lot bigger, though. That's what makes him so unique. He's more in that Bobby Wagner mode of a bigger 235, 240-pound linebacker that still runs like a wide receiver. That's rare in this league. And those hops, come on, man. Ridiculous. Game saver there. Big play. We'll get into all the particulars of this football game here in a second, but thank you for joining me on Thursday Night Football Overtime. Of course, I'm your set man, Louie T, here on this program. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. There are a number of different social media platforms that I have that will allow you to stay abreast of what's going on here on the Louie T Network. All of those can be found down in the description, as well as how you can donate to the Louie T Network via Patreon or PayPal. Those two links that you see in front of you down in the description, along with the links to all my social media platforms. So please, if you can, donate to the Louie T Network. With that being said, let's jump into this game. Falcons get the win 20-17 over the Saints and climb within a game of first place in the NFC South Division. Let's talk about how that came to be. You start with the Falcons on the defensive side of football because that's where this game was won. The offense made a ton of mistakes. The defense was able to pick them up. And for the second week in a row, I felt like the defense did everything in their power to help this Falcons team win a game, and the offense tried to let them down. Last week, 9 points, 3 field goals was all they were able to muster. They only gave up 14 points against the Vikings. You could argue when they needed the big stop, they didn't get it, but still, they gave that offense every opportunity to go out and win, and credit that Vikings defense for holding them down. In this particular game, Drew Brees and company moved it right down the field on the opening possession, and they held them to a field goal. Again, the Alvin Kamara injury probably had a little bit to do with that. He looked like he was well on his way to having another massive game only after a couple of plays. I mean, the first catch of the game was for about 25 yards. He had another run in there that was a good run. So he looked like he was quickly going to settle in this game, and he was back home, so he was looking to make an impact. And him leaving the game hurt the Saints, but they got the stop there to force a field goal. Your offense then throws an interception right before the half. Could have led to points, should have led to points. The defense then in the second half did a phenomenal job of holding the Saints to another field goal attempt when they got down there into the red zone. That was crucial because, again, you needed to stay close. With the way the offense was playing, a touchdown in a situation that would have extended the game to 21-10 might have been too much for this offense to overcome. As you saw, it would have been with the way the Falcons were playing offensively tonight, with the mistakes, the turnovers, things of that nature. This defense had to step up and be huge. Some big-time sacks by this defense in the second half of this game. Terry Poe with a sack on third down. Adrian Claiborne, who continues his phenomenal season with a big sack. If he was a baller, though, that ball's coming out because Drew Brees had no idea he was there. Anything around the wrist, arm area, that football is out on the turf, bouncing around. And with all this team speed the Falcons have defensively, you'd like to think somebody could have scooped up and scored that fumble had he gotten it out, because Brees had no idea there was any backside pressure. So in any event, third down sack there as well to get the Saints off the field. So the defense, I thought, stepped up. Nice knockaway by Desmond Trufant on the opening possession of the game on a third down to set up the first field goal. So again, when they had to have it, the defense made plays. They did give up some chunk plays. Michael Thomas destroyed them in this game. 10 catches, over $1 and some change for Michael Thomas, and a touch. So they did have some misses in this game, but and the touchdown to Lewis, wide open down the sideline, a missed tackle there, and he was able to get in the end zone. But all in all, I thought it was a very good defensive program, or performance, I should say, by the Falcons in this game. And I told you, I've said this a number of times, and Falcons fans, I don't think they're hearing me. They're listening. I think they hear me. They're not listening. There's a difference between the two. I think they are hearing me. They're just not listening to what I'm saying. This is a better, and this is why I refuse to give up on the Falcons. It's a better Falcons team this year than it was last year. Because last year you couldn't win games on defense. You had to win games in shootout fashion. Last year in this same game, you had to beat the Saints 51 to 37 or 38 or whatever the score was. There was a game against Carolina last year that was a shootout where you had to score a ton of points. You couldn't stop anybody defensively until late in the season when the defense started to figure it out. A lot of those young players started to come of age, and you're seeing the byproduct of those guys playing all year last year. Now they've gotten the experience. The defense is so much better. And I know you could say, well, take the inverse of that. The offense isn't better. It's the same offense. It's just a different coordinator. To me, this football team is better off this year than last because they can play defense. Defense can win you a championship. And with their offense, with the explosive players that they have, Coleman and Freeman and Jones and Sanu and all the other guys, Gabriel Hall, they're going to be just fine on offense. It's the defense that you worry about. That defense, no worries from me. They can get it done as long as they're healthy and they've got their main guys out there. This is a defense that's going to be just fine. And so I look at it like this. I feel confident that this team can get it done at a very high level on defense, and the offense will rectify itself. And I think that this is a team that can get it done in the Falcons, and they got it done defensively tonight, and that was huge for them in this game. As you get to the offense, tough night for Matt Ryan. I thought Matt Ryan played scared tonight. Anytime there was any kind of pressure, he was looking around, he was a little suspect, and he made some uncharacteristic mistakes that you don't expect from Matt Ryan, especially when there are point opportunities to be had. You expect young quarterbacks, young boys, to make the type of mistakes Matt Ryan made tonight. Right before the half, Julio was blanketed. Why are you throwing that football? It doesn't make any sense. That's one you throw out of bounds and you send Matt Ryan on the field for a 55-yard field goal. And if he misses, you go to halftime. If he doesn't make it, if he makes it, you get 3 points. But and first of all, shame on Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan for not taking a timeout after that first down completion to Justin Hardy. You got 2 timeouts. There's about 23 seconds left. What are you doing? Take a timeout. Save that 8 seconds that you allowed, 9 seconds that you allowed to burn off the clock. And luckily the referees stopped the clock for you to go back and look, or else that snap would have taken place with 12 seconds. What are you thinking in that situation? So bad clock management there. And then you make matters worse. That's a first down bad decision by Matt Ryan. Again, you chuck that out of bounds. You live to fight another down. You still got a timeout. You can still work the middle of the field. That's inexcusable there, what he did. He's lucky that Lattimore didn't stay outside. I don't understand why he cut inside. Stay outside and make Julio Jones catch you from behind. Instead, he cut inside and allowed Julio Jones to make up some ground and catch him from behind. And so you get the break there with the field goal not being good because of the penalty of the illegal formation. So you dodge a bullet there. Then you get down the field on the opening possession of the second half, you get the Hooper interception to start the second half, which is just, come on, dude, catch the football. That could have turned into a disaster. Luckily enough for you, in that situation, I believe the defense was able to get a stop and force field goal. No, as a matter of fact, that gave the Saints their only touchdown of the second half, the Michael Thomas touchdown on the speed out of trips. So those kind of mistakes usually are backbreakers and lead to losses. Luckily enough, you were able to overcome it. But then Ryan throws the interception to Julio Jones, another scoring opportunity. It was a third down. So even if he's not, and he missed Hooper. Hooper's wide open as he rolled out of the pocket. The defense expanded. Hooper's wide open over the middle. He never looked that way. He was fixated on Julio Jones. And if you're going to throw a jump ball, how about you throw it up high and give your man a chance to go up and get it? A great play there by the defender, Marcus Williams, to pick that one off. He almost threw a 4th interception. It would not have counted. There was a penalty on the Saints on that play. But if the linebacker on that play could catch, that was another just really bad play for Matt Ryan tonight. But he overcame the mistakes and the adversity, took his team down the field, led them on a touchdown drive, hit Sanu for the touchdown, then led them on a game-winning field goal drive that gave them the 20-17 lead. So despite all of the mistakes made by Matt Ryan in this game, he was able to overcome them by making plays down the stretch to help his team win this football game. I thought that Dan Quinn botched it at the end of the first half with not using the timeout. I thought Dan Quinn botched it at the end of the game, and it almost cost his team. 3rd and 1, the Saints decide to throw. You get a holding penalty on Ryan Ramczyk. You push them back 10 yards. In his mind, he's thinking, there's no way they're going to go for it. They're looking to tie the game up at 20. They're not going to go. Look, I understand it's Drew Brees, and 11 yards is nothing, and he could probably get a 12-yard completion and convert the first down. Well, I'll take my chances with that. I don't give a damn about pushing them back for field goal because you're inside. Will Lutz has a big enough leg to kick it from 54 or wherever that field goal would have been from. That's of no importance to me. The important thing is you don't want them converting this first down, because if they convert this third down, or now 4th and inch, because it was literally 4th and inches, wasn't a full yard. That's a quarterback sneak. And I think that's why Sean Payton in his head said, we can throw it on 3rd and 1, because even if we don't complete it, we're still going for it on 4th down, and it's a quarterback sneak, and it's easy money. So you played right into his hands by not accepting the penalty. To really make that 3rd down and 1 throwing attempt really hurt and sting, you needed to push him back 10 yards to make him regret doing that. Instead, you just you made it easy, because in his mind he said, we're throwing this with the intention of going for it on 4th down if we don't get it. That's why you see teams do that. You see teams be uber aggressive in situations like that, because in the back of their mind they already said, if we don't get this, we're going for it anyway. So I thought he played into the hands of the Saints. He got away with one. His man Deion Jones made 2 spectacular plays back-to-back to bail him out after they were able to convert on the quarterback sneak. Deion Jones makes a hell of a play in the flats on Willie Snead, and then turns around and makes the play of the game over the middle on Josh Hill on a ball that is thrown up high. We've seen Drew Brees complete that pass a million times, half of that million in his sleep, over the middle to an unsuspecting linebacker with his back turned, and the tight end goes up and gets the football in the end zone. We've seen that play a million times. Deion Jones has seen that play on film a million times. Read it, went after the football, and made a spectacular play to come down with it in the end zone. I've seen guys, A, not look. I've seen guys, B, not be able to go get that football. I've seen guys, C, lose that football upon impact of the ground. Deion Jones looked like an athlete catching that football. And if I'm not mistaken, at one point he was an offensive player at LSU, if I'm not mistaken, and made the switch to linebacker. Don't quote me on that, but the guy looked legit. He looked like a guy that had an offensive background in his past, because that was a clean catch of a ball that had some sauce on it, and then to go and tuck it away and hit the ground. Hard impact to put that football away like a receiver. Big play there to seal this victory up, one that the Falcons had to get. It was tight, and I know Falcons fans, y'all were tight at the end of the game. Probably cussing Dan Quinn out for not taking the 10-yard penalty there, as I was, but Deion Jones saving the day as the Falcons hold on 20-17. If you're the Saints, this is the one that got away. You're lamenting this loss because you could have pretty much sealed up the division tonight with this win, and you're lamenting the one that got away. This one got away. You could talk about the Kamara injury. I'll listen, because he makes that much of an impact and a difference on this offense. So you want to talk about that injury? I definitely listen to you complain and gripe and moan about that one, because it had an impact on this game. You want to talk about some missed opportunities by the Saints? Sure. That happens in the course of a game. You want to talk about the injuries? Sure. That happens in the course of a game as well. All of them valid reasons why you lost this game. But again, you had every opportunity to still win this football game, and you just simply didn't get it done. Those turnovers were godsends. That penalty at the end of the first half can't happen. Sean Payton at the end of the game can't run on the field and get a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. You were going to get the football back, because they were going to run it 3 times. You were probably going to get the stop on 3rd down. Hell, you almost had a shot to recover a fumble there. Again, that's a big play. The ending to this game was just hectic. First of all, the decision to not take the penalty by head coach of the Falcons, Dan Quinn. Then the interception by Deion Jones for all intents and purposes saved the day for the Falcons. You're thinking, okay, they got this game sewn up like a teller, relatively easy, like Jerry Heller chop is cherry vanilla. And then the man that has been running the rock hard all night, Devontae Freeman, puts the church's money on the floor. Great play by one of the linebackers of the Saints to knock that football free. And it's on the ground for about a good 1.5 seconds before anybody realizes, oh, cookies on the ground. Yum, yum, eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. Somebody stuck their hand in the cookie jar. Cookies on the floor. Let's eat. Well, Wes Schweitzer said, oh, free money. Let me get on that. And luckily enough for the Falcons, Wes Schweitzer not only was aware enough to see the ball down by his ground. How many offensive linemen have we seen bumble and stumble that ball away, have it squirt out, and the other team recovers. Normally, offensive linemen are the worst in situations like that because they fall on the ball, they're all sloppy, uncoordinated, and that ball squeaks out, somebody else gets it. He had the presence of mind not only to see it, but then to scoop the thing up. That was pretty athletic on his part, and that saved the game because that would have put the Saints right back in the position that they were just in with a chance to win the game with a touchdown. Damn, a field goal. Drew Brees would have been thinking, okay, I just effed up. Now I'm getting a chance to do this over again the right way. Oh, I'm about to do these boys. You'd have lost the game had the Saints recovered that fumble. So that was a huge play. But you had every opportunity to steal this game. Despite the injuries, despite the penalty that took away 3 points off the scoreboard, you had every opportunity to win this game, and you just didn't get it done. And this one stings because you let one slip away. But that being said, you talk about this defense. It's a much improved unit, and they gave up some plays tonight. You know, they gave up some plays. Mohamed Sanu, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Guess who? Mohamed Sanu. Julio! They both had really solid games. That was a heavyweight matchup between Julio and Marshawn Lattimore. That's going to be fun for years to come, man. I'm looking forward to that every single time. And as a matter of fact, in 17 days when they do it again, that's a spotlight matchup that I'll be taking a look at. And that was fun to watch, man. And the Falcons finally made the adjustment that I thought they should have made last week. I bitched and complained about the lack of targets for Julio because you knew the Minnesota Vikings last week were going to take him away. And they went to the bunch formation, which forced them to kind of be a little bit more loose. They went zone one time. Julio was able to catch a hook route and sit down. They went to the bunch again, and this time they motioned into it. Marshawn then had to come off and play a little off and soft. What did Julio do? He ran a dig route over the middle of the field and was able to get free for a first down. So they made the adjustment necessary to free up their best receiver. Mohamed Sanu was outstanding in this game as well. And I thought they ran the football effectively on this Saints defense. And so defensively, I thought the Saints were solid. They weren't great, but they made plays. When you force 3 turnovers, you're supposed to win the game. And hell, you could have forced 5. If not the drop pick down the sideline again, if there was a penalty, would have negated that pick. And the fumble at the end, you could have had 5 turnovers. When you play that brand of football, when you're being opportunistic, you're supposed to win the game. And so hats off to this defense for creating more possessions and opportunities because this defense could not get off the field tonight. They were dog tired in the second half because they couldn't get off the field on third downs. There were some lengthy drives by the Falcons in this game. And hats off to this defense for not breaking in the red zone. The Falcons have struggled this year in the red zone with their efficiency. And they got down there. They put together some long drives. You pick off Matt Ryan once. You forced him to kick a field goal on another occasion. And so I thought the Saints' red zone defense was outstanding in this game. And it was really why they had a chance to win at the end because the Falcons moved the football for the most part tonight. But the mistakes, they were magnified by the Saints defense being able to make plays in the red zone. So I thought the Saints defense wasn't its best tonight, but they gave this offense every opportunity you could ask for to win this game. And I thought they let the defense down. And again, injuries are a part of that, but injuries are a part of the game as well. So nobody wants to really hear the excuse of injuries. Everyone's banged up at this point of the season. So you go to the offensive side of the football. Again, Michael Thomas, stud. And I did a list of the top receivers in the league, and he was on the list. And you saw why tonight. You know, the dude is a beast. And you saw the offense without Kamara drastically change. And Ingram, I thought he was solid tonight. But he's much better when he's got his partner in crime back there in the backfield. But in any event, there were opportunities for this Saints team offensively to make plays, to score more points, and to win this game. And I thought that they allowed some opportunities to go by the wayside. And you get 3 turnovers, and I don't care where they come. You know, the best field position you got off one of the turnovers, you turned it into a touchdown. So the halftime pick that needed to turn into a field goal, and that's not the wrongdoing of the offense. That's a special teams gaffe and blunder there. But nonetheless, just felt like this was a missed opportunity. If you're a Saints fan, you're upset right now because this is a game that was there for the taking. On the road, in the division, one that might have sealed it up for you. With all the injuries, with all the adversity you face tonight, with all the guys going down. I mean, there was a laundry list of injuries at halftime for their sideline reporter, Michelle Tafoya, to report. I mean, literally, there were 5 or 6 guys on that list. 2 on offense, another 3 on defense, and I don't know if any of those guys came back into the game. So I know Kenny Vaccaro re-injured and re-aggravated the groin, and I can speak from experience. When you hurt your groin, it's not going to fully heal until the season's over. There's nothing that's going to heal your groin but time. So he's going to be out again, and it's going to continue to nag him for the remainder of the season. He's not going to be healthy till this season's done. You had Klein leave with an injury. I forget exactly what it was. I don't recall seeing him for the remainder of the game. You lose Hendrickson, your linebacker, to an ankle injury. I don't know if I remember seeing him come back into the game. Obviously, you lose Kamara, and you lost, I think, Calamete went down in the first half, and I don't remember if he came back in the game or not. So, a ton of injuries. I think both Calamete and Kamara both sustained concussions and didn't return to the game. So, you were talking about a number of injuries that they sustained in the first half alone. But, again, no excuses. This game was there for the taking, and gosh, you had a shot. Matt Ryan, not good tonight. Missed Tevin Coleman down the sideline for a touchdown as he rolled out of the pocket, and he dumped it down. Picked up some nice yards, but could have had the big one down the field. Dumped it down to Sanu for like 22, but could have had the touchdown. But, again, Matt Ryan just wasn't seeing the field well tonight. Made some bad decisions, some bad throws, and luckily enough, his defense was able to pick him up, and more importantly, he was able to shake those off and lead his team on 2 consecutive scoring drives to help win this game 20-17. Saints dropped to 9-4. Falcons improved to 8-5 and climbed within 1 game of the lead in the NFC South Division. Let's get to comments out there. See what we got. Let's get all the way to the top. Start at the top. Young Mello says, why did Breeze throw that ball? Hey, he's been throwing that ball his entire career. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a ball he's completed probably 70% of the time. The rule in the NFL for elite quarterbacks, especially in the red zone, but with Drew Brees, it's any part of the field. If I see your numbers, my receiver's open. I don't care how plastered you are to my receiver. If I see the back of your jersey, if I can see your nameplate, my man's open. And for years, that linebacker doesn't turn around. It's a new day and age in this league, man. Linebackers are more crafty, and they're just flat out more athletic. A slower linebacker doesn't get on top of that route with enough depth nor enough time to feel out the tight end, turn, look, locate, and then make a play on the football. A lesser linebacker has his back turned the entire time, and Drew's able to squeeze that football in there. Now, I don't love that he's throwing that ball to Josh Hill. I mean, it's not like it was Jimmy Graham, you know, down the seam, or even Kobe Fleener, who has been a big disappointment for this team since coming over from Indy. But I don't love that it's Josh Hill, but he probably still catches it if Deion Jones doesn't make a play on the football. So it's not a bad throw by Drew Brees, but it was a bad decision. It was a really good throw, but it was the decision. But he didn't expect Deion Jones to play that ball as well as he did, and so he just got burnt. FBG Tony says Saints should be ashamed of themselves. Forced 3 turnovers and only come up with 17 points. Pitiful. It happens, man. Archangel says good teams find a way to win no matter the circumstance. I about lost it. Not gonna lie, Lou. Why my Falcons do this to us? Look, I know the feeling. Down late in ball games, your team can, and I'm not just specifically talking about your Falcons. I'm just talking about in general. Teams give their fans a heart attack 9 times out of 10. They can't just allow their fans to be excited and breathe a sigh of relief at the end of games. They got to make them tight. They got to make them damn near have a heart attack. I feel like just about every team does that to their fans at the end of ball games. But luckily enough for you and the rest of the Falcon fans, you guys are able to pull it out. And so you still got a shot to win this division. That's what it's all about. Falcons Fury says, bruh, we needed this one. It wasn't pretty, but damn, it was a win. A win is a win. That is all we came for. Thank you. Come again. So that's what it's all about. I told you, it doesn't have to be pretty. Just gritty and a dub. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. In 2 weeks from now, when you play the Saints again, no one's talking about how ugly it was or how Matt Ryan threw 3 picks. All we talking about is that you put another one in the left-hand column. That's all that matters. And so you got it done. And no one cares how it came. You just care that you got it done. Dark Sealer 1995 says, 28-3, Nuff said, Falcons are chokers. You can't trust chokers in the playoffs. I don't know about all of that. I just know that they got a big win tonight. Soundwave 92 says, I wanted the Saints to win, but holy F the injuries. The INT at the end from Breeze and Peyton's meltdown. I don't know, man. This season could be over because of this game. I won't go that far. Nah, these are two good football teams. We watched a game with 2 really good football teams. It'd be a shame if the Falcons don't make the playoffs because they're a good team. They're one of the best 6 teams in the NFC. But somebody's going to get left out that's a good team. Whether it be Seattle, the Rams, or Atlanta, someone's getting left out of the playoffs that's a good football team in the NFC. So we're going to see who that team is. If you're the Falcons, don't leave it to chance. Win the rest of your games and get in via the division and get you a home playoff game in the process. But the Saints are good. They're going to win at least 1 more game, possibly 2. And if they don't win the division, they're still going to get in via the wild card. So I don't think that this game is going to affect their psyche moving forward. Yeah, that Breeze interception and the meltdown by Peyton late in the game, those were costly, and those stink. But at the end of the day, it's 1 game. Don't allow 1 game to turn into 2 losses. So we're going to see if they can bounce back next game. Nathan Long says the Saints had to fight the refs, injuries, and offensive ineptitude. Yeah. And there was one call in particular that I didn't love. The roughing the passer penalty that they called on Sheldon Rankins. That was soft. That was ticky-tack. But the football gods righted that wrong with the interceptions in the interception in the red zone. So, look, the football gods always right or wrong. So I don't want to hear about the refs in this football game. You got a break on the Julio pass interference and the Crawley holding, which I didn't think that Crawley holding was all that big of a holding penalty. And Julio didn't extend, but he did push off. So, look, the officiating was fine. I thought there were 1 or 2 calls that you could maybe argue, but they didn't impact this game. Falcons Fury says, Sark's play calling is pissing me off. Not using the backs in the passing game and forcing it to Julio is making Matt shitty ice. Sark, I think that's something that he won't improve upon until the offseason. He's not going to change in season. He's not going to make that adjustment to getting the football to the backs. I think that's something that he'll have to sit down in the offseason. And if he wants to improve, which if you're a coordinator in this league, you want to improve in the offseason, one of his self-critiques will be, all right, what did they do 2 years ago when they made the run to the Super Bowl to be so effective on offense? And the first thing that's going to jump out at him, and I've been talking about it all year, it's been my biggest gripe with this offense, is he'll realize, I got to get the backs, the football out of the backfield in the passing game more. They're so dynamic. They should be touching it more out of the backfield. And once he sees that, it'll open up everything else for this offense. But I don't think he's going to make that adjustment in season. I think that's something that might have to come next year. Eagle Speed said this game was fixed for the 2.5-point spread. Let's see. Falcons Fury says, man, we laid a lot of wood tonight. I feel bad for Alvin and Ted Ginn, but they had to pay for the refs' sins. Teddy ball game took one to the ribs. Boy, that was a nice clean shot, boy. Clean and wholesome shot delivered there by Ricardo Allen. Alvin, I really hated the fact that Alvin had to go that early in the game. I really was looking forward to watching him play tonight. So that one sucked, but you know, that's football. Falcon Fury says, Yeah, we better, but I'll be honest, it's not as fun, LOL, but we not better coached. No, it's not as fun when you're relying on your defense to win your games. I'll admit that. But if you want to win a championship, you much rather have a better defense than a better offense. I know this is cliche and you hear it all the time, but defense wins championships. That's a fact. So it's not as fun. You know, rolling up 500 yards of total offense and scoring 51 points is a lot more fun than scoring 17 or 20 and eking out a 20-17 victory over the Saints. I get it. I understand. I totally get it. But you're not better coached. That's another fact. I think you might be better coached defensively under Marquell Manuel, but you're not better coached offensively. You know, Kyle Shanahan going on in San Francisco, it's a huge drop-off to Sark. So I would agree with that statement. That's the only thing that I think isn't better about this team. Roster-wise, you're better. I think production-wise, you were better last year from an offensive standpoint, but defensively, I think this team is light years ahead of where they were a season ago, which is why I think they're better. Black L.A.B says Anthony Barr is a top 5 linebacker. Why he get no love? I think because that's a no-name defense in Minnesota, and while he makes plays, he doesn't make the big plays. Like, he doesn't make the play Deion Jones just made. He didn't make that play. You know, he's a double A-gap blitz guy, he's sideline to sideline, but Anthony Barr isn't making it. All the big plays on defense either are made by Rhodes, Harrison Smith, or by Kendricks, not by Anthony Barr. So I think that's why Barr gets overshadowed in that defense, because he's not the guy making the plays defensively, but he's the guy that allows other guys to make plays on that defense, if that makes any sense. Dre True Statement says, what's up, Lou? I agree our team is better than last year, but hasn't played like it. Our offense ever goes back to form. I don't see a team stopping us. I feel like the defense is light years, like I said already, light years ahead of the defense from last year. The offense is good, and obviously you can understand why they've taken a step back. You change coordinators, and you didn't just change any coordinator. One of the best in the business, and Kyle Shanahan, has moved on. You're going to take a massive step back. And so I look for the offense to be much better next year. Second year under Sark, you have a better feel for the players on the team and what they're capable of and how to get guys in spots to win. I think you'll be much better next year. So just hope that you do enough this year to make a run at it. Dre True Statement says, Matt, I can't defend him no more. 10 years and you play like a middle school QB, his worst performance ever. I don't know if it was worst ever, but it was a really bad game. It was the worst by far we've seen from him in the last 2 years, because remember, I wasn't high on Matt Ryan going into last season. I thought that he was Matt Ryan, he wasn't Matty Ice. Remember, I had taken his nickname from him. I had snatched it from him, and he had to earn it back. He earned it back by winning the MVP last year. And he's been playing pretty good this season. He's had some back-breaking mistakes this year. The fumble versus Buffalo, the interception versus Miami, which kind of not his fault, but in any event, he threw the pass. But this game here, this looked like Matt Ryan circa 2015. The guy that I had lost all confidence in. A guy that I didn't think was a top 10 quarterback in this league. He looked like that guy tonight. He didn't look like the 2016 nor 2017 version. He looked like the 2015, 2014 version that all Falcons fans would say and try to defending him is, we don't have an offensive line. That's fine. I hear you. I know a lot of quarterbacks without offensive lines that weren't doing that garbage. So really disappointed in the way he played tonight. But again, with the game on the line, he made 2 big drives to lead his team to a victory. Joe Sharp says, great game by 2 good teams who won't win in the playoffs if they keep making those mistakes. Saints, too many penalties. Falcons, too many turnovers. Both showed they got the defense. I'd agree. I think the Falcons' defense is better than the Saints' defense. But I think the Saints defensively have come a long way. Just keep this in mind. The Saints, for the last decade, have been a joke on defense. And that's not an exaggeration. For the last decade, this Saints defense has been a joke. Even going back to the Super Bowl chip season, where the defense was horrible, but they were opportunistic, forcing turnovers. This year, they've made such an improvement on defense. They're so much better defensively this year, but the injuries are starting to mount, and it will drastically change who they are defensively if they don't get healthy. So that's something that does concern me, and you're right, Joe. A lot of penalties tonight for the Saints as well. Hard to win when you're making those kind of mistakes on the road, for sure. All right, Angel says, Lou, how about that from Julio? Had my man saying, Julio hit me. Julio was outstanding tonight. I want to see him score more touchdowns, man. It's amazing to me that he only has 3 touchdowns on the year, which is just insane to me. And 2 of those came in the game where he went off against the Bucs a couple of weeks ago. So I just need him to just score more touchdowns. Falcons Fury says, man, Matt makes it hard for me to defend him. I still think he's a top 32 quarterback in this league. I mean, seriously, did you just go top 32? Bruh, don't do that. Don't disrespect a man like that. He says, but another game like this, and I'm putting Blake Bortles ahead of him or Nathan Peterman. Nah, don't do that. He's still a top 10 quarterback in this league, but he didn't play like one tonight. And he gets a pass because with the game on the line, he showed why he's a top 10 quarterback. He made the plays necessary to get his team down the field to tie the game up at 17 and then to take the lead 20-17. So Andrew Kim says, Lattimore had a pretty good performance against Julio. I don't think he played the last 2 weeks. He wasn't 100%. He didn't play the last 2 weeks. He sustained an injury versus the Redskins, missed the Rams game, and missed a game last week against the Panthers. He said that's why he was getting all that oxygen. Easily top defensive rookie of the year. I'd agree with that. When healthy, he's been by far and away the best rookie defensively. They've got both defensive rookie of the years on their football team, which just shows you how big of a draft Mickey Loomis and company had this year. I told you during my draft wrap-up series and during the draft itself that just off first blush, without even looking at the players, just off of name recognition and what I knew these guys were capable of, I said the Saints killed it. And then when I went and actually watched their draft in entirety and broke down all their players, the Saints absolutely murdered the draft, and you're seeing that come to fruition. I mean, Ramczyk and Lattimore have been grade A first-round picks. You get a steal in the 3rd round with Kamara, which is just criminal. That's just stealing. I don't even remember what they did in the 2nd round, but it was probably another quality pick. I think they got Marcus Williams, the safety out of Utah, and he's played well. He got a pick tonight. So just those first 4 picks alone murdered the draft, and there are more guys that they got down the line that are probably helping this team right now that I'm not even thinking about. But just those first 4 picks alone, Saints murdered the draft. Soundwave92 says, Matt didn't play scared. He played like an idiot. He forced the ball way too many times. I thought he looked a little skittish. I thought he looked rattled a little bit. He was always looking around, thinking somebody was about to hit him, and he panicked. You know, if he would have just settled down, there were open receivers on those plays that he would find if he would have just slowed the game down. But his internal clock was moving so fast. It just felt like he panicked a little bit. I felt like he was playing a little antsy. I think that led to the mistakes. And when you panic, as human beings, when we panic, we go for familiarity. We go for something that makes us comfortable. When we're out of our element and we're uncomfortable, which Matt Ryan was uncomfortable, you go to something that is familiar to you, something that calms you down, something that makes you comfortable. Who makes him comfortable? Number 11. So why did he throw 2 picks? One before the half, one in the end zone? Because 11, when he panics, that play before the half, he had time. He didn't have to panic. He could have chucked that football out of bounds. He could have run it up the B gap for about a good 5 and slid and took a field goal, called a timeout. But what did he do? He panicked. He sped up his internal clock. He was looking around. What do I do? What do I do? Julio, take this. Hot potato. Pick. The interception in the red zone, he thought he was going to get sacked. He looked around. He was about to fall down. Oh, I can escape up one of these gaps. So what does he do? He escapes up the gap. He's looking around. If he would have just took his vision, if he would have just slowed things down, took his vision to the middle of the field, because all he had to do was give one glance at Julio, he was covered. Now, same thing with Drew Brees. He saw Marcus Williams' name plate. He saw Williams. He saw the back of his jersey. He's not looking. If I throw it up high, Julio might be able to go make a play. Williams then turned around, located ball, pick. If he would have just slowed down and said Julio's covered and went on, scanned the field, he would have seen a wide open Austin Hooper, easy money, touchdown. Later in the game, he rolls out of the pocket again, under duress, comes out of the pocket, throws it to Mohamed Sanu. Wasn't a bad play. Sanu picks up 22 on the play. Had he just waited a second longer, he would have seen Tevin Coleman on the wheel route up the sideline, beating the linebacker for easy 70-yard touchdown. But that was the type of night it was for Matt Ryan. He just panicked tonight. Falcons Fury says, playoff stats. A.B. 70 targets, 44 receptions, 705 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julio 55 targets, 43 receptions, 639 yards, 5 touchdowns. Julio is better point blank. Are you talking about in the playoffs? See, Falcons Fury said, hey, bruh, Freeman looked good. We didn't use him enough, or Coleman for that matter. Well, Freeman got over 20 carries, and I think he had like 23 carries when it was all said and done tonight. He had that big fumble at the end. Luckily, it didn't cost his team, but honestly, I thought he carried the rock plenty tonight. If anybody didn't get it enough, it's Coleman who didn't get it enough. That's who I think could have used it a little bit more, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Dre True Statement says, I was cussing, screaming, throwing shit and everything. My damn Falcons, boy. I know how it is, man. I dropped the nastiest F-bomb over the Thanksgiving break when Kirk Cousins threw a pick against the Giants, because I knew we were going to beat the Giants, but they weren't going to score a touchdown that night. And he threw a pick, and it wasn't really his fault. It was his fault. It was half his fault, half the receiver from it going off his hands. And it just made a 10-3 game, and the Giants weren't going to score. They're bad. They weren't going to score. It made a 10-3 game 10-10, and it left the Giants right there with a chance to steal the game. And it just made me so upset, and I chopped the nasty. And I don't use the F word. It's a big nasty word. The F-bomb is so vicious, so I don't use it. But boy, I dropped the nastiest F-bomb. Everybody looked at me in shock and awe, like, you said what? And it was just so much frustration. And it's only one thing that can do that to me. It's the Redskins. And so I feel you, man. Joe Sharp says, in my picks, I said, anytime Vegas has a team as a 1-point dog to start a game day, then they are 2.5-point favorites by game time. I knew something smelt fishy. Yeah, everybody was looking at that line today, and it did move a little bit. So yeah, I feel you on that, brother Sharp. Soundwave 92 says, Lattimore was impressive considering how many times the kid was against Julio. Still got burnt, though. Look, Lattimore's going to be really good. I told you, he's a star in the making. He's a star. There are a couple of corners that came out in this draft that have star written all over them. Lattimore is one, and I think Shaquille Griffin out in Seattle is another one that, if he can just stay healthy, I think he's got a big-time corner written all over him as well. But Lattimore is head and shoulders above the rest of the pack. Falcons Fury says, hey, man, always praise West because he sucks. He said, but when I do, he saved the damn game. He said, he said, hey, man, I don't always praise West because, he sucks. Speaking of Wes Schweitzer, the guard. But he said, but when I do, he saved the damn game. And he did, buddy. Wes went down there and got that thing for you, man, like a shortstop in the hole. He went and dug that one up. And you needed it. Because if the Saints got their hands on that ball, you were going to lose this game. 3-11 Atlas says, what do you think about the Lattimore looking gassed the whole second half? Seems like Julio was getting his share from seemed like he was getting his share from Julio. That was just simply a guy that wasn't in playing shape because he had missed the last 2 weeks. You know, when you chasing number 11 around, it's a tough task, man. I mean, Julio was a guy that, and Julio was missing some snaps. It was a crucial third down. Julio wasn't on the field. It was Sanu, Marvin Hall, and Doug Gabriel, Taylor Gabriel, excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, hey, it's tough out on them streets, man. It's rough. Appreciate you cruising for the contribution up there of the $10 on the super chat. Jerafel Design says, I don't care what you say. 7 plus injuries, bogus penalties, removing 3 points from the Saints before the half. And how was that penalty on Peyton even necessary? Come on, man. Look, you can make any excuse you want. At the end of the day, you had a chance to win the football game. Fans make excuses. Players and coaches don't. I'm a no-excuse guy. My team is the Redskins. I watched your team come back. The referees blew that game for us. The NFL the next day came out and said, oh, you shouldn't have had a 10-second runoff. That wasn't an intentional ground, and we made a mistake. Guess what? They effed up. You know what I said? I don't care. I'm not making any excuses. I don't care. There's no reason that they should have came back down 14 in that game and sent it to overtime. Don't nobody care about your excuses, man. You know what the Redskins had? They have a ton of injuries. Every week. 10 dudes plus on the injury report. Don't nobody care about your injuries, man. You still had a chance to win this game. So you don't have to care what I say. That's your right. That's your opinion. You are entitled to that. But I'm telling you, don't nobody care about your 7 injuries. Don't nobody care that you lined up wrong and cost your team 3 points. Don't nobody care that y'all didn't find a... You got to find a way to win. Those penalties, bogus or not, you got to find a way to win. And with a minute and 35 seconds left in the game, 1st and goal from the Falcons, 1st and 10 from the Falcons, let's call it 13-yard line, your quarterback threw an interception that took away at least an opportunity to tie the game. You shouldn't be talking about nothing else but that. That's why you lost the game. That's the biggest reason. That's not why you lost the game. It's the biggest reason you lost the game. You lost this game because you didn't take full advantage of opportunities. You forced 3 turnovers. You only got 7 points off of those 3 turnovers forced. You had a gaffe at the end of the first half. Your coach blew up, and I agree with you. They didn't have to throw the flag on them. In that part of the game, they didn't have to throw a flag there. Man wanted a timeout. But again, there's a way you go about that. And look, at that point of the game, don't throw the flag there and hit the man with unsportsmanlike conduct penalty there and end the game effectively. But again, it is what it is. Black L.A.B says, I ain't trying to hear it about injuries. Nobody, that's what I'm saying. Don't nobody want to hear nothing about injuries. There are teams around. Seattle has the most players on injured reserve. The Redskins are right there on their ass. But I guarantee you, for every player that the Seahawks have on injury reserve, the Redskins have players that aren't able to play on Sundays that are banged up. Don't nobody care about that. Seahawks are 8-4 because they were able to overcome injuries. The Redskins are 5-7 because they can't. That's the difference. He says, I ain't trying to hear anything about the injuries. The Saints are ass. I won't go that far, Black L.A.B. I understand they got Breeze as an ace in the hole, but he's good for a mediocre game or two. He was ready, man. He was ready to lead his team to a victory today. And like I said, I ain't going to kill him for the throw. It was a great throw. Just a decision you question. A, it's Josh Hill. And B, got to know your personnel. You got to know that that's Deion Jones. You know, a lesser linebacker, yeah, throw that, man. Throw that rock over his head all day long. All day strong, all day long, twice on Thursday. Throw that thing. That is Deion Jones. One of the most elite linebacker athletes we have in the game. Hell, forget about position. One of the most elite athletes we have in this game. Got to know your personnel. He didn't think he was going to make that play, though. John Niner says, Louie, no team has had more injuries than the 49ers this year, so don't want to hear about it. Don't nobody want to hear about injuries. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Jerafel Design says, the defense made plays and the Saints should have won, but clearly the refs kept them in it. Like I said, I'm not going to put this on the lap of the refs. There were a few calls in there that I disagree with, but I didn't think they decided the outcome of this game. Cloud says, I feel like this is going to be an upset week. I already told you it's upset week. Aries Falcon says, would you say Atlanta's defense is better than last year? I already said it numerous times. Numerous times. That's why I think this team is better. than a season ago. Let's see. Yeah, skipped a ton of comments. Trying to go back up to where I was. Oh, man. Damn, we skipped a ton of comments. I hate when they do that to me. Here we go. Falcons Fury says, hey, man, I don't want to hear the injuries excuse. We had some key ones last week, this week, and all season. Yeah, they had a lot of guys, but give my Birds credit. I knew they were going to come with that call. That's why I hate when players go down, because the excuse of the team that you beat always is we had injuries, which to me isn't an excuse. Excuses are for the weak. Find a way to get it done. The weak and incompetent. Find a way to get it done. If the Saints would have won this game, you know the first thing they would have said? We beat y'all with all them injuries. The first thing would have came out of their mouth. So, miss me on the whole injury angle. Archangel says, don't want to hear about no damn injuries. We beat the same team Philly. He said, we beat the same team Philly lost to in Seattle without Free. Exactly. I mean, again, we could sit here and have this back and forth all day. The prevailing thought is don't nobody want to hear nothing about your injuries. Aries Falcon says, Breeze on the decline, and if so, how much longer you think he has? Nah, man, he's still playing at a high level. You saw his completion percentage coming into the game. 71%. He's right on the heels of the NFL record. He had another accurate night. I think he went like 26 or 35. He's still good, man. He's still good. And now that he's got a run game and he's got his Darren Sproles back and maybe even better in Kamara, dude ain't going nowhere. Obviously, he's a free agent after the season. The Saints would be foolish to let him walk away, even at the age of 39. I don't think he's on the decline. He's still got 3-4 good years of football left in him, which is crazy. But that's the day and age of football that we're in, where these quarterbacks are coddled so much. We saw the personal foul penalty on Matt Ryan, which was garbage. These quarterbacks are so coddled, you can't even touch them. Guys, if you're good, if you're a legend, you should play to 40, 41, 42, 43. There's no reason for you not to play well into your 40s if you're a legend of the game. Brady's going to play well into his 40s. Breeze is going to play well into his 40s. If Roethlisberger hadn't taken so many injuries and hits throughout his career, he'd probably play into his 40s, but I don't think he's going to make it. Rodgers is going to play into his 40s now. Remember, his career got started late because he was behind Brett Favre for a number of years, but he's going to play into his 40s. Phillip Rivers, if he wants to, he can play into his 40s. That's the new age of the NFL. So, Archangel says, everybody got injuries this time of the season. It's a part of the game. Dark Sealer 1995 says, can we finally admit that Matt Ryan looked good because Shanahan, he isn't an elite quarterback and he still makes rookie mistakes? Well, Matt Ryan got his nickname before Kyle Shanahan got there. Now, he didn't get his first win in the playoffs until, 2012 under Dirk Cutter, I think. But, I mean, let's not act like Kyle Shanahan made Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan made himself a household name well before Kyle Shanahan got there. So don't do the man like that. He had some seasons in there where I questioned how good he was. But, you know, coordinators matter. You know, talent is great, but coaches matter. Coaches matter. Dre True Statement says, you're right, Lou. Every team does have give fans heart attacks. With the Falcons, it's every week, and you can actually die once or twice. LOL. Shaking my head. Hashtag rise up. Hey, I feel you, man. Trust me. I feel you, bro. Sean Mack, welcome back, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, man. He says, if the football gods always right or wrong, then why my Browns? He said, then my Browns would have won a lot more damn games by now, bro. LOL. Yeah, but see, the football guys will give y'all an opportunity to make a play. Like, the football guys tonight, he righted the wrong immediately. When Matt Ryan got that bogus personal foul penalty that extended their drive on a third down, he immediately, 2 plays later, righted that wrong. He gave Ken Crawley an easy interception. And what did Ken Crawley do? He dropped it. He dropped it. So the football gods, sometimes, they don't make it as obvious. They put you in positions to make a play. And Ken Crawley said, "No, I'm good. I don't want to pick. I'm going to let everybody else get one. I'm good." That's not the football god's fault. And in the case of your team, he gives you opportunities, and y'all do dumb stuff. Like run out the clock right before the half instead of getting a field goal by using a quarterback sneak and from like the 3-yard line with no timeouts and only like 10 seconds left. Y'all do dumb stuff. How the football guy supposed to help you when you can't help yourself? Dark Sealer says, Sark thinks it's college, and it's not college. You don't get soft defenses. He needs to do more pick plays and screens. Well, I killed him for doing too many of them last game against Minnesota. I thought they needed to line up in trips into bunch formations more to get Xavier Rhodes off of Julio. Like, it was press man-to-man, and Julio was getting just absolutely molested, harassed. Again, I've seen guys go to jail for some of the stuff Xavier Rhodes gets away with, but he's the new Dick Sherman. He's the new Revis. He's going to get away with that stuff. He's that dude in the league now. So you gotta create and scheme up ways, and the good ones know that, to get him opportunities. He didn't do that last week. Dark Sealer says, do they play Julio in the slot? And if not, why don't they try it? Just get him on a small slot guy and let the man eat. He's a freak of nature. They do. Put him in the slot sometimes, and it's not always that you're going to get the other team's slot corner when you do that. If you got a number one corner that you believe in, his ass will go right to the slot with him. And in the case of the Saints, they got P.J. Williams in the slot. He's not Lattimore, but he's not a small guy. P.J. Williams about 6'1", 6'2". So they got a big slot corner in New Orleans. And to take it a step further, Mohamed Sanu's a big slot guy, and he wins in the slot a lot of times as well. But he gets his opportunities in the slot. Falcons Fury says, hey, bro, why do we know how to fix the offense, but the dude we call Sark, the Shark, get paid millions, and he don't know? Sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to take a step back and analyze the situation and actually see. He probably doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He probably thinks, I'm making good calls. And I'm pretty sure when they go back and watch film, it's a missed assignment here. It's bad execution there. He's probably making some really good play calls. And when you watch the all-22s, if this guy, like I told you, Matt Ryan missed guys tonight. When he went off schedule, he missed dudes. Sark in his head is saying, hey, look, you went off schedule, and you had opportunities to make plays, and you didn't make plays. You know, in the run game, he's probably saying, if you make this guy miss here, it's off to the races. You know, if you see this guy, like there was a third down that Matt Ryan threw to Sanu, and it was a great play in the slot by P.J. Williams. And on that same route, on that same play, Justin Hardy won against Lattimore inside on a slant. And Hardy jumped up and stomped his feet. He was mad. And Sark is saying, I called a good play. You read the wrong side of the field and you went to the wrong receiver. But, I mean, obviously you're not going to take the matchup Hardy versus Lattimore. You're not looking to win that matchup. You're looking to win somewhere else. But you know, in Sark's mind, I didn't call a bad play there. So in his mind, he probably think he's doing a really good job. It won't be until he gets a chance in the offseason. That's why I said I don't expect him to make the adjustment until the offseason when he'll actually get a chance to sit down and say, all right, where can I be better? How can I make this offense better? When he self-assess in the offseason, starts taking inventory of some of the things he did well in his first season as offensive coordinator and some of the things he can do better, I think one of the things he'll look, if he's very diligent in his studies, he'll see that, man, this team was dynamic offensively in 2016 because the running backs were a huge part of the offense, not just running the football, but as pass catchers. And he'll see that he needs to incorporate them more. Dark Sealer says, watching Sharks offense makes me want to shark my pants, Lou. It stinks. It's not that bad. Could be better. John Perez says, sup, Lou? Sorry I'm late, missed the game. Just want to ask, what do you think about the Browns firing Sashi Brown? I talked about it earlier on Twitter. I think it was one of those situations where it was one of those, it's either him or me type deals with Hugh Jackson. Like, hey, look, if you keeping him, I'm going to go. Like, I can't stay here with him. He botched the whole trade for A.J. McCarron. We're not seeing eye to eye with some of the players that he drafted maybe, or some of the moves he's making. They may have philosophical differences. You really don't know what the situation is. I feel like that's it. I can't confirm nor deny that. They may have just felt Sashi Brown wasn't doing a good enough job. I actually think between him and John DePodesta, they've stocked that roster full of talented football players. The only position that I feel like they lack the necessary talent is receiver. And now with Josh Gordon coming back, he looks damn good. That position might actually be on the up and up, because if he's back to being a number one receiver, with Coleman now going to number 2, if he can just stay healthy, all of a sudden now, I told you, they got tons of talent at running back and tight end. They just need the receiver position to step up. So I think the Sashi Brown firing might have been one that was necessary for everything else to stay intact. I think there may have been a little bit of dissension in that locker room, and I think the boiling point was hit and reached when that trade for A.J. McCarron wasn't finalized in time. Falcons Fury says, hey, bro, I ain't worried about next year. We got to put up points. Now, I hear you. I'm all for that. All for it. Marvelous Track says, I'm not too much of a fan of these Thursday night games, but do you think if tonight's game was played on Sunday, would the outcome change? Probably not. I don't know if the Thursday game put either team at a steep disadvantage. You know, I thought the Falcons would be at a disadvantage because they had one of their big players in Trufant out with a concussion last week. And I thought the short week might not allow him to get back in time. But these Thursday night games suck for the players. You know, they don't have the adequate enough time to heal up. But the NFL makes way too much. Hell, the players make way too much money off of these games. If they were to take these Thursday night games away, that would really impact not only the owners, but it would impact these players as much, probably more so than the owners. I mean, the players make a ton of money because the league makes a ton of money off these Thursday night games. They're not going anywhere. So we can complain all we want. These Thursday night games aren't going anywhere, and I don't think in this particular game the outcome would have necessarily been changed had it been played on Sunday. John Niner says, everybody said John Lynch was a terrible hire as GM of the Niners. I didn't say that. And whoever said that probably just was saying that off the fact that he had never been in that position before. You know, he went from player to the booth to GM all in one fell swoop, and they were like, hey, he didn't have the credentials to do this, but I don't think that disqualifies you. You know, I thought it was a great hire. I was skeptical about it at first, but I didn't hate it. I took a wait and see approach, but I said, that's forward thinking. You're always going to get crucified and criticized when you're an innovator, because people don't like change. Any walk of life. We are habits of creatures as human beings. We like normalcy. We like things to stay the same because it's comfortable. When you take people out of their element, when you do something different, when you're the first, when you're a trailblazer, when you do something out of the box, you get ridiculed and people point at you and talk about you because you're doing something different. They're not accustomed to it. And hiring John Lynch out of nowhere, that's unheard of. Normally, GMs get hired because they're doing a good job as an assistant somewhere, as director of player personnel for some other team, and they like how that person moves and has helped grow someone else's roster, so we want to give him a chance to be his own general manager. That's how GMs are plucked in this league. Not, oh, you used to play and you've been an analyst? Well, let's give him a shot. That's not how people do it. So that's why they were criticized, but I love forward thinking. I love when people think outside the box. John Perez says, did you understand the Falcons hiring? Come on, don't take a shot at the man. Mr. Alcoholic Steve Sarkisian, don't do that to the man. Don't attack the man character like that, man. There are probably some ties to Dan Quinn. We all know that the NFL is a fraternity. It's a buddy league. You hire your buddies, all right? That's a known fact. That's why when a guy gets fired, As long as one of his boys is coaching somewhere, he'll have a job. They will create a job title for you. Offensive quality control assistant and head coach, assistant head coach. What the hell does that guy do? Offensive quality control assistant and assistant head coach. What the hell does that guy do? Don't ask me. I don't know. Offensive line quality control assistance coach. What does that guy do? Don't ask me. I don't know. But I tell you what, they'll create a job for one of their boys in a heartbeat. I remember when Eric Mangini got fired from the Jets. The 49ers created a job for him so he can get back in the league. That's what teams do for their boys. That's what coaches do. So I'm guessing Dan Quinn, that's his boy. He looked out for his boy. Black Al B says, who's the Saints defensive coach? DA, Dennis Allen, ex-Raiders head coach, ex-Broncos defensive coordinator. Blackbird Blitz says, tell Sister Lou to keep the faith. We still in the hunt. I'm trying to keep her motivated, man. She was, after that Vikings loss, I had to talk her off the ledge. She was distraught. I told her, I said, look at me. I had to grab her. Look at me. You win your last 4 games, you win the division. Damn the wild card. This ain't about the wild card. I had to give her one of those Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday speech. One of the ones where you spit on them while you're talking. It worked. She was ready for this one on Thursday. She was ready. Sean Mack says, if I were Dorsey, I'd rent in Cleveland. John Dorsey got fired in Kansas City because he was unorganized. He was not organized at all, so I don't even know how that's going to work in Cleveland, but we'll see. Cruiser26 says, my first donation to this great channel. It won't be my last. I appreciate it, man. Again, I really appreciate all that you guys do for this channel. I'm looking to grow in ways you can't imagine this offseason, and it's contributions like the one you made tonight that are going to help me make those necessary changes. So I really appreciate that, Cruiser, for sure. John Perez says, I've never heard you use the F word live on a stream. Even when the Redskins lose, your girl would probably wash her mouth out with soap if she heard that. Hey, look, man, my girl cusses like a damn sailor, bruh. Like, it's because of her that the occasional cuss word comes out of my mouth now, more so than it used to. So she wouldn't have any problems with it because her mouth is nasty. But I'm not an F-bomb guy, man. I'm just not. It's just that's a big one, boy. I can't do that one. I skipped a bunch of comments again. They always doing this to me. All right, so I'm making my way back up. Let's see where we are. We are here. Sean Mack says, what about my injuries playing hero, as you put it? LOL. I watched the replay, bro. LOL. I hooked you up with an 8-8 for last week, man. You play hurt, so I can appreciate that, man. 3-11 Atlas says, I don't know, Lou. Saints are looking more and more sketchy. The quality of their wins is a little suspect, and these losses aren't helping. By the way, how do you feel about the Browns, about Brown firing from Cleveland? I talked about Sashi Brown getting fired already. Came as a little bit of a surprise to me, but I'm not shocked by anything the Browns do these days. And I think it was, I'm in my mind, again, don't run with this. This is just the Louie T conspiracy theorist angle. It was a him or me type situation with Hugh Jackson. And a lot of people say, well, hell, Hugh Jackson is 1-21 or 1 in, what are we now, 12 games in? 1-27. Hey, Hugh deserves another year. So, in any event, Sashi Brown failed with the A.J. McCarron trade. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's what pretty much got him ousted in Cleveland. And as for the Saints, I mean, you could call their wins whatever you want. They've won 9 times this year. 8 of those came in a row. If Carolina isn't a good team, okay, they swept them. You call it what you want. I think they've got some quality wins in there. You know, all of them may not be against the best opponents. Doesn't matter. A win's a win in the National Football League. You ain't gonna get me to talk bad about the Saints. Pepe the YouTuber says, off topic, I was enjoying the small amount of snow we got in Houston for the first time in nine years. Hey, good that you got a little bit of white out there, man. Enjoy that. Black L.A.B says, Saints stole one from your skin, so now they gave up one. Hashtag any given Thursday. Yeah, they probably would do to give one up, man. They could eat. They probably are supposed to be 9-4 because they probably should be 8-5 because they shouldn't have beat us. But that's no here nor there. Azad Belial says, which Super Bowl matchup would you like to see in Super Bowl 52? I really don't have a preference right now. Honestly, anybody but the Eagles in the NFC and anybody but the Patriots in the AFC. Really, that's pretty much where I'm at with mine. You know, at my core, I'm a Redskin fan, so you know I want to see the Eagles win a damn thing. But other than that, Patriots, I'm good. I don't need to see them back there again for the 19th time in the last 20 years. So anybody but again, let's not get crazy now. I don't want to see New Orleans, Jacksonville. You know, I don't want to see Rams, Jacksonville. I don't want to see Ravens, Rams. Okay, let's not get crazy here. You know, we still need upper echelon stars and big name stars and teams in the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to end up being the Steelers in the AFC, and I don't know, one of anybody that gets in the NFC can go. To be honest with you, KT the Southern Gent 22 says, "Man, I hate losing to Atlanta. Great game, but we'll get our revenge in New Orleans." I think you're right. I think y'all are going to win that game in New Orleans. Sean Mack says, "I know that, bro. Just like to hear you rant about my Browns, bro." KT the Southern Gent says, "A loss is a loss. I'm still rocking with my Saints. 3 games, business to be handled. I'm with you." Southern Gent also says, "A Louisiana native beats us. Who that? But damn." No, that was a tough one to take. Black L.B says, "Don't do my man Professor X like that. Dick Sherman couldn't hold X-Man's jock strap. Dude's a beast, and he quiet about it." Dick Sherman was X before X. Now, I will grant you, X is a much better athlete than Dick Sherman. Ever was and ever will be. That being said, Sherman's longer than X. And so with the lack of athleticism that Sherman has, he makes up for it in length. You got to give a man credit for the dominance he's had in his career because he's not the fastest guy. You know, X-Man is an athlete. He's a 4'4" guy. He's got size and length. He's got everything that you need to have to be an elite corner in this league. And Dick Sherman was missing that one key ingredient, but he made up for it with grit, toughness, and length. So you got to give Dick Sherman his props. The only difference is, like you said, X-Man is quiet with his, but he's a rapist just like Dick Sherman is. And when I say that, please understand, not literally. I'm just talking about on the field. These guys are groping receivers. I mean, Julio Jones got slammed. I mean, I think I seen him rock bottom 3 times in the game last week. And that's X-Man, man. And I don't know if I've seen a single flag thrown. So, you know how it go. And when I say rapist, I mean that in the best way possible. I probably shouldn't say that again. Next comment. Black L.B says, "Can't wait till Zim rotates J-Ron Curse out of Clemson at safety. Dude is a GOAT. Sean Taylor size, he's ranging." Don't ever in your life again say Sean Taylor and J-Ron Curse in the same sentence. J-Ron Curse is a clown. That's why he can't get on the field. He's been in Zim's doghouse. He takes poor angles. He falls asleep behind the wheel. He was a 7th round pick and almost went undrafted for a reason. The dude thinks he's nice, but he's not. So don't ever do that again, okay? Thank you. Please and thank you. John Perez says, off subject, which college football playoff semifinal matchup is better? Come on, man. Did you have to ask that? I'm not even going to answer that question. Can't believe you even asked that question. I'm going to answer the question just because you're my boy. It's Clemson and Alabama for the third straight year. Duh. I think Oklahoma's going to be a good game, but it wouldn't shock me if Oklahoma got their brains bashed in because they're not used to playing up against SEC teams. It wouldn't shock me if Georgia went and stifled those boys with NFL talent on defense and beat those boys 31-13. But that Alabama-Clemson game, oh, boy, that's going to be a doozy. Blackbird Blitz says, looks like the Matt Ryan that used to force the ball to Julio, Roddy White, and Tony G, forcing the ball to covered receivers, excuse me. He says, it works when you have three number receivers. Don't work now. Yeah. And like I said, back in 2015, when I thought he made a ton of mistakes, cost his team some ball games, it looked a lot like tonight, for sure. Giga Test says, do you think the Falcons should have been penalized for the helmet? No, because Kamara at that time is a runner. When you're a runner, you're not protected by helmet-to-helmet contact. The only time you're protected by helmet-to-helmet contact is if you're a quarterback and you're in the pocket or you're a defenseless receiver. He wasn't defenseless. He was a runner. They're not protected by the helmet-to-helmet contact rule. KT the Southern Gent says, great channel. Love the draft prospect series. First, it snows in Louisiana. Now the Saints lose. Shaking my head. Damn, y'all got snow too? I heard it's supposed to snow in Atlanta tomorrow. Wow, South getting snow. How about that? Appreciate the love, man. Really do. Black LB says, offensive quality control assistant. Oh, shit. I told you, man, they'll make some shit up for a dude. So, that's how the league go, man. I ain't even mad. Ricky L says, screw you, Lou, saying you don't want to see my Eagles in the Super Bowl. You know how it is. That's just family love, man. You know how that go. Don't take that personal. If y'all made it to the Super Bowl and won, I would sit here and break it down, and I would give y'all all the credit in the world. But deep down inside, damn well I don't want to see y'all in the Super Bowl, man. Just like you wouldn't want to see the Redskins in or win the Super Bowl. So it's just family love. You know how it go, man. Don't take offense to that. Black LB says, had to give your sister the Inches Life joint. Yeah, man. Damn right I did. Had to give her that, man. The Inches speech. Sort of like, just like you throwing a football in the front yard and your mama calls you for dinner time. Man, I love that movie, man. Oh, man, when Willie went to his house and he gave him the speech about leading the team. Come on, man. Don't get me started. Not tonight. Cloud says, I feel the same way about the fam in the division. Hashtag class of the NFC East. And that's all it's about, man. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Take the bitter with the sweet. Azad Belial says, if Aaron Rodgers comes back with a Panthers game, will the Packers run the table again and maybe be first timeout? Let me get a 20-second. You're not beating the Browns this week. So Aaron Rodgers coming back doesn't make a difference. So let me interject with that 20-second timeout. Browns, you heard it here first. Well, you heard it on my program yesterday. But Browns are beating the Packers this week. Brett Hundley stinks. Stinks. And that Browns defense, underrated. They're going to win a game. You heard it here first. The Sports Fury says, what a game. That was a fun game to watch just now. Vegeta's Dark Side says, Rhodes said when he came into the league, he used to be a receiver and knows how receivers don't like physicality. And he's right. Receivers want no part of that action at all. All right? They want no part of that game. When you get physical with a receiver, it changes things. Because they're used to free releases off the line of scrimmage. They're about timing and rhythm. When you disrupt that at the line of scrimmage, it changes everything. The timing of the route, their mindset. And I used to try to mentor some of the kids, my nephew, my son when he played football. I always would try to mentor those guys. And I used to tell them, first play of the game at corner. For no reason. None. I don't care if it's a run play. I would prefer it to be a run play. First play of the game. Go up to the receiver that's in front of you. Knock the shit out of him. Knock the hell out of him. You know what that's going to do to that receiver? Oh, shit. The hell is wrong with this guy? It changes his whole mindset. The first play of the game, he's not even looking for contact because he knows it's a run. And it's not coming to his side. Knock the piss out of him. He's going to do one or two things. Either he's going to get physical with you from here on out. Now you got yourself a football game. And that's cool if he does that. But normally you're going to get the latter, which is he's going to bitch up on you. Oh, man, this dude's crazy. He's physical. Damn. I always would tell. Now, they would never do it. They were scared. But I'm an ex-receiver. Now, I didn't play at a high level. But I can tell you, receivers want no part of that action, man. They don't want any part of physicality. They trying to stay away from contact. They don't want that. So, Xavier Rhodes, he's on to something there. If you're out there and you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive. Sean Mack says, who you taking, Rig or Lamb in the fight Saturday night? First of all, is the Lomachenko fight this week? Is that what you, that's what you referencing, right? Rigodeau and Lomachenko? Okay, yeah. Okay, I see it now. I'm about to say, wait, I'm not watching nothing else but that. I'm taking, come on now. High Tech is the best boxer in the sport right now, pound for pound, if you ask me. You know how Rigodeau likes to do, and I'm not going to turn this into a boxing show, but you know how he likes to do. He likes to make it a slow and technical fight. Well, he got the wrong one for this. Because if he want to get technical, he want to box and run, High Tech ain't about that life. He going to make it a fight. And he can get technical right along with him. Loma's going to do some work tonight. You threw me off because instead of putting Loma, you put Lamb. So you threw me off. I didn't know what you were talking about. But, yeah. Anyway. Black LB says, the Saints sweep true, but who are the Panthers really? I don't love the Panthers, but they're 8-4 football team. So you got to respect them. They beat the Patriots in New England, so you got to respect them. They're not a pushover. You got to respect those boys for what they are. They're flawed, but you got to respect them for what they are. They're a solid football team in this league. And you're going to find out this week what they're about. I think you're a better team than them, and I think you're going to beat them, but you're going to find out what they're about. John Perez says, can we see some more newcomers in the college football playoff next year? I feel like my LSU Tigers can get in, but we just need a damn quarterback. You can say that about LSU every year. Every year. They're one of the most talented teams in the nation. Every year. You still have no damn quarterback. It used to make me sick to my stomach when Fournette was there. Because every year, you look at all that talent on their team, you be like, man, they got a stinking ass quarterback again. How many years y'all had that brother at quarterback? I can't remember his name. The one that threw the pick against Wisconsin in the first game of the season last year. Boy, was he garbage. Boy, did he stink. Stay with a funky ass quarterback at LSU. Which makes no sense because you would think with all the talent that you guys get, you'd be able to get one quarterback. Just one. KT, the Southern gent, says, Mike Thomas is nice, but I don't think he's a true number one receiver. Should the Saints draft the true number? You don't think he's a true number one? Why not? Why not? The man is in the top 5 in the league in receptions. He's right up there in yards. What do you mean? He roasts number one corners every week. What do you mean he's not? Did you see what he was doing to Trumaine Johnson, even though you lost it? What? Not a number one. We're not watching the same Mike. Maybe because you're calling him Mike Thomas. Michael Thomas is a number one receiver. Mike Thomas that used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's not a number one. He's not even in the league anymore. So I agree with you. Mike Thomas, not a number one receiver. Michael Thomas, he's a number one receiver and a damn good one in this league. Ricky L says, I wouldn't mind if your Skins beat the Pats in the Super Bowl. Hashtag bruh. I don't believe you. You need more people. KT the Southern gent says, diehard Seminoles, as far as X goes, he's a beast. Rip Chantel, a favorite player from the U. Know how I feel about Chantel if you watch my channel. Marvelous Track says, After the Seahawks victory against the Eagles, can the Rams get that W as well? They sure can. Will they? I think that loss woke the Eagles up, though. So I don't think they will, but damn right they can. McVay knows the Eagles. He's been coaching against them for the last 4 years in Washington. He knows these boys like the back of his hand. He'll be ready. He'll have his team ready. Ed says, I need to move out of the north, for real, for real. It'd be cold most of the year, and it'd be snowing until March here in Wisconsin. I know, man. I don't know the feeling because I'm not from the Midwest, but I got friends in the Midwest, and it's not a game in Wisconsin. It's not a game in the Midwest, especially in Wisconsin. I don't know how you guys do it. Black L.A.B says, cut the F up. My bad. I just said in size, definitely not in talent at all about Curse. Trust, I know the history about dude shaking my head. Okay, as long as we on the same page, Black L.A.B, as long as we here, then we good, man. We good. Azad Bilal says, a little off topic, but do you watch the NBA? If so, yes, I do. I'm not watching it right now because my team stinks. And we're going through a little bit not a little bit. We're going through a horrible season. I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan. We had an 11-game losing streak. We snapped it, and then we promptly lost to the Knicks last night. So it's not looking good for my boys this year, but we weren't going to win a damn thing anyway, so it don't matter. Sean Mack says, yeah, typo. Kodo went out on a loss. That bummed me out. Was one of my favorite all-time favorites. Man, he was in a lot of big fights, for sure. Black L.A.B says, don't bust out the Jermaine Jackson on them, bro. Hashtag they ain't ready. Hashtag don't take it personal. They don't know nothing about that, Black L.A.B. Let me school them, man. Let me take those boys down memory lane. They don't know nothing about that, man. They don't know nothing. Love was here. Now it's gone. So it's time you keep moving on. Ooh. They don't know nothing about that, man. Anyway, Blackbird Blitz says Sark is not only learning the offense, Sark is new to NFL defenses and NFL individual players' strengths and weaknesses. He'll get better, man. I'm not worried about Sark. I think he's gotten better as this season has progressed. I mean, early in the season, I was really questioning him as an offensive coordinator at this level. He's gotten better, and he'll make the adjustments. I'm not worried. Just I don't think he's going to make them in time this season for the offense to maximize the potential that exists with this football team. You'll see drastic improvement next season. The Sports Fury says, I'm looking forward to the rematch in 2 weeks. As am I. John Perez says, who's your favorite boxer? I hope it's not Mayweather. No. Right now it's Lomachenko. I really don't have a favorite boxer. My favorite boxer of all time was Julian Jackson, which none of you know who he is, nor should you. But he's one of the best middleweights of all time. Well, okay, not all time. He's got one of the most devastating right hands in boxing history. I'll say that. But in any event, because he was sent from St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands. My family's from the Virgin Islands, so I was a huge Hawk fan. But, of course, Tyson, Holyfield, those guys, the golden age of the heavyweights from the 70s to the 90s, that was probably my favorite time. You know, obviously, I was born in the 80s, but when I was coming up, the heavyweight division still meant something. It still meant something to be heavyweight champion. I'd love to see that come back. But as far as my favorite boxer now, it'd probably be Lomachenko. I just love the way he boxes. He boxes like no other. He makes it look effortless. And his ability to master the science, the sweet science, so beautiful to watch. Anyway, KT the Southern Gent says, Michael Thomas is a glorified possession receiver. Keyshawn Johnson 2.0. We need that matchup nightmare out wide. He is a matchup nightmare. You're right. He is a possession receiver with a little bit of speed. I think he's better than Keyshawn Johnson ever was because Keyshawn was never fast. He's got a little bit of juice to him, but you can get another receiver to complement him. The problem isn't Michael Thomas. The problem is who's the guy on the opposite side? Ted Ginn Jr.? No, get you another dude. But Michael Thomas, because to me, Michael Thomas is similar to DeAndre Hopkins. Are you telling me that DeAndre Hopkins isn't a number one? You know why DeAndre Hopkins is made better by the presence of Will Fuller because they're stark contrasts to one another. One will beat your ass on 3rd and 7, or you know he's running a stick route, okay? You know he's running 8 yards and stopping and coming back to the ball. You still can't stop it because he's a physical possession receiver. He's not beating guys deep for the most part. He's a possession receiver, which Michael Thomas is. You know why Drew Brees goes to him on 3rd and 7? Because he knows he's going to win. You know what you need? You need your Will Fuller. That's what you need. Michael Thomas is fine. Fine. Cloud says, y'all old heads need to chill. Hey, go ahead, man. Let us live. Let us live, man. Azad Bilal says, who's the best sports athlete in D.C.? I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's John Wall. Probably the best athlete, pure athlete in the DMV area. But maybe Bryce Harper. Those two. Harper's a hell of an athlete too, but I don't know. Gregory Lightbody says, who do you think is better, Baker Mayfield or Mason Rudolph? Rudolph has the prototypical NFL size. I don't love his arm at all. I don't love Mason Rudolph. Baker Mayfield doesn't have the typical NFL size. I think he's a little bit of a head case and he's immature. But that being said, he's very talented. I wouldn't pick either one of them. But if you made me pick, I'd go with Baker Mayfield. And that is it. Thank you guys for joining me tonight on the show. Falcons get the win 20-17 in a really good football game. Saints had their opportunities. Falcons make enough plays down the stretch. None bigger than the interception by Deion Jones to seal it up. Hell, nothing may have ultimately been bigger than Wes Schweitzer's recovery of a fumble late in the game. But nonetheless, a lot of those big plays made down the stretch, all of the big plays down the stretch were made by the Falcons as they pull out a 20-17 victory, get to 8-5 with the win, pull to within a game of first place in the NFC, pull within, I said that right. Pull to within a game of first place in the NFC South Division, as now the Saints are 9-4. So they're 8-5. And the Panthers have a chance to get a slice of first place. Despite being swept by the Saints, they can get back in with an improbable victory over Carolina. We'll see what happens in that game. But nonetheless, this was a great football game to watch. Thursday night football hasn't been all that great this year. They saved the worst for last. Next week, they can do whatever they like. Yeah, they said they putting that sky cam on us. Who gives a shit? It's Colts and Broncos. Do you really give a damn? They could goddamn show the game in black and white next week. Do you really give a shit? I don't. Neither do you. Unless you're a Colts or Broncos fan. So I don't give a damn if they show the whole game in sky cam, ass cam, butt cam. Who gives a damn? It's Colts and Broncos. Jesus Christ. In any event, it's going to do it for your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me on the program. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. We're changing the game one live feed at a time. Continue to support the movement. Guess I'll see you guys on Sunday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy all that the weekend has to offer. We got a big fight on cable television. No excuse for y'all not to watch. Some grade A top choice boxing coming your way on Saturday on ESPN. Watch. God damn it. We need to bring boxing back. It's a big fight. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great weekend.